spiritually and physically.
Yeah, yeah.
It's like it's several ways you can die. And it's like you're not even willing to do that.
You won't die for her, but you want her to submit to you.
It's not adding up. And so if you want to know what separation looks like, that's what it looks like.
That's what it looks like.
That you're doing all of these things and it's you in the house and you ain't talked to your spouse in 2 weeks.
Right.
Some people get the silent treatment that long. My God, and we just keep saying we're Christians, we're believers, and that we know Jesus. No marriage. And they should not create an environment where you can't spend time together. That means that you're doing something wrong. And that your balance is off, or you're obsessed with something.
Between me and my wife. Nothing comes between me and my wife. A picture of that this union is important. And we would periodically say, because one day y'all going to grow up, but we got to stay together forever.
Never moves. This is how we learn what real love proves. Next level marriage podcast. We're calling you to something deeper, something pure and true. Male and female, just the way he plays.
Welcome to the Next Level Marriage Podcast. I am one half of your dynamic duo. I go by the name of Dr. James Byrd, and my lovely wife, she goes by the name of
Dr. Angel Byrd.
And together we are the Lovebirds. And welcome to another episode. And how are you doing this evening, my fine lady?
Good.
Good? All right. Good is better than bad. I think it'd be kind of tough to do a podcast if we're doing bad.
Boy.
So we'll go with good.
Yeah, some people can do it. I don't know how to pretend, so I wouldn't be able to do it. Some people can do it.
I'm sure.
Yeah.
I'm sure.
Thank God that we can't.
Thank God for y'all. We are doing well. And so we're going to talk, we want to go ahead and jump into some content.
Whatever you got, how you want to start?
I want to start by saying, please like, please share, please subscribe. Thank you all for the feedback and the comments, and we want you to be a part of the show. Comment. If you have questions, put questions in there. It'll help us to, maybe have topics for future podcasts that we want to talk about and directions we can go down to. Because if you're listening, then we want to, talk about the things that you feel like you need help with in your relationship.
Yeah.
How about that?
Yep.
All right. So tonight we're going to talk about five. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 5 silent killers that no one wants to talk about.
5 silent killers in marriage that no one wants to talk about.
That's what we're talking about tonight.
Yes.
Nobody might want to talk about them, but we're going to talk about it.
Yeah. And the longer you avoid talking about them, it's the risk of the relationship ending in a negative way.
I would say that's absolutely true.
It's a major risk.
Major risk. Mm-hmm. I mean, you want to dive into anything before we list them off or whatever, what you're feeling?
I'm just saying, it's like, I don't know if it comes with age or what, but what I do know is the things that you just try not to talk about end up doing more damage than good. The things that you try to withhold and not bring to the table in the marriage, these are the very things that eventually is going to be a silent killer that is destroying you. And for whatever reason, the human brain has convinced you that don't talk about it, keep it to yourself, or even if you talk to your girlfriend, it's not getting resolved because you're talking to the wrong person. Because that person is not living with you. They're not doing life with you in that way. And so there is not another person that you can talk to, even if it's a therapist. You can talk to the therapist and they can make you feel good in that moment. But the moment you face reality of the things you're feeling or bump into the person that you're doing life with, eventually you're going to still have to face those issues and those things that we won't talk about that is killing the relationship. And silence always kills.
Absolutely. And I believe that there are certain things that is difficult to talk about in a relationship, and not so much that the subject matter itself is difficult, but it's because the two people in the relationship don't know how to talk about difficult things in a way that is healthy for both people,
Absolutely.
because our brains begin to assume, certain things and
Accuse, judge.
accuse, what's wrong with you? Why you looking like that? Or why all these things that our brains
Yeah.
do, and it causes a edge and a coldness and a distance in the conversation, and then we start getting defensive, and then we want to back away from it, or
Yeah.
get aggressive, fight or flight, whatever case may be. And so we first have to learn how to, and I know that's not what we're talking about today, but we first got to learn how to talk, listen, not judge, take the other person at their word, and have that be healthy. And the longer you've been alive, and the longer you've been in relationship, the more difficult that gets, because if you haven't established that early on in the relationship, then you've built up patterns and belief systems and neural pathways and all these things that make it difficult for you to have some tough conversations.
Is there a school for this?
Yeah, I know one school.
What is it called?
Next Level Marriage Podcast.
No, but for real, when I think about the idiotic things that they teach you in school,
So idiotic.
so a waste of time. That is almost, I think from kindergarten to maybe sixth grade is really what you need.
Right.
After that, they should have been teaching you how to do life with other people, teaching you how to do marriage God's way. They should have been teaching you about your emotional intelligence. They should have been teaching you about how to dwell with another person and not act like children when it's a toy and you say mine's and you say no. All of those things that we do, that we are winging it. And no one's teaching you any of these things. And they just tell a human when they go and figure it out.
But you know how to do geometry
Yeah.
and chemistry.
That you sometimes you
Most
will
of the
never
time.
use.
Most of the time, most people are never going to use that.
Never ever going to use it. That's why I say from kindergarten to sixth, that's what you normally use. And so, not saying that we're taking away education. We've done all that.
But this is education too.
Yes, this is, yeah. But I'm starting to wonder which one was more important.
Oh, how you do life is
Way
far
more important. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
It's like you want me to read a manual to get my driver's test, and you was suspended when I don't follow the rules. But you don't want to give me any information, and if you do, it's twisted, it's distorted in your image in the way that you think that we should be doing it today. And it's like, but the human race is failing.
Failing miserably.
Failing in parenting, failing in their marriages, failing in relationships with their sisters and brothers, failing in all relationships because we thought it was more important to create a system to take your money and give you more subjects that you're never going to use, and never think about, I need to teach humans how to do life with one another and just with themselves.
No, you're absolutely right. I agree 100%.
Yeah.
Because all the things that you teach someone in school, high school and in college, and then you give them this job, and then they go and make all this money, they still fail in their relationships.
I'm like, oh my
miserably.
God, tell me why a billionaire can't keep a wife.
Yeah, it's definitely
You got
not because of money.
everything that you can possibly buy. How come you can't keep her? Because you don't know how to do life with nobody.
Right.
You made money, but you don't know how to live with another human. And that right there is sad, because every human need another human in this life. For you to be able to say, I can do this alone, that's the biggest lie ever. You
Yeah.
wasn't even created to do that.
I laugh because you don't know how to live with a human, or you don't know how to live with just one human.
Yourself.
No, I mean only one other.
human. Oh my God.
You want to live with multiple.
Oh my
other
God,
humans.
yes.
Yeah.
And so then you learn how to perform and put on a mask, and you go to work and play like you like these people. You know what I'm saying? And you got to be able to figure out how to navigate so you can keep a job, so you can provide for your family. When that's why you see people come back and blow up the whole place. or kill the people in the places because they could not manage their emotions.
Right.
And they could not manage the things that were being said to them or done to them. And they couldn't figure out a healthier way to deal with that. But we always want to tell somebody to go take another class or go do another something. None of it's pertaining to life for us to be able to survive and to do this thing in relationships.
Yeah, no. And I think this is probably the most important skill set that you could have is how to dwell with another person in love.
Yeah.
Even if they're doing things that you don't like or don't agree with
Yeah.
or whatever, but still to dwell with them in love. Because if you remember the early on when the first couple got outside of God, their own siblings
Start killing each
start
other.
killing each other. Because they didn't know how to dwell with their issue. They didn't have emotional intelligence after that.
Jealousy kicked in, and now somebody likes you more than they like me, so I have to take your life. What's different today?
No, exactly.
Nothing's different.
Nothing's different.
Nothing's changed.
Nothing.
And so it's like, wow, when are we going to come to the reality that the first thing outside of God creating the world or whatever, was man? And then he says, you think you got it together, but now I need to bring you another human so you can see that you
Right.
ain't who you think you are.
And money and smarts and education was not created in God's image. Humans were created in the image of God.
Thank you.
And so we are more important and relationally, we're more important than however much money you can make and however much wisdom and smarts you can have.
Yeah. Man, it's like that part comes into play once you mastered the part of loving and being able to give and to be able to respect, to be able to honor. And then the money and stuff is a bonus. And it just makes all of that part of it more beautiful.
Yeah.
But when you got it over here out of balance, this part right over here, you almost feel like you rather die, than to even be with somebody with all the money. And it's just like, when are we going to figure this thing out?
Yeah, the love part is so important, and the emotional intelligence as well. But not that love you feel when you first connect with somebody and y'all young and ain't been through nothing and all that kind of stuff. But the kind of love that's going to go through life together when life start lifing.
Yeah, because when I think about, you could have brought me all the beautiful roses. Everybody know I love flowers that know me. You could have brought me all the beautiful flowers. You could have brought me the car of my dreams and all of those things. But when you couldn't connect, it didn't even matter. It was like they can sit there, but then you can still feel lonely and by yourself because there's no connection.
Right.
And so it doesn't matter about those things when the first thing is not in first place.
Exactly.
And so, yeah.
Well, I think we're off to a good start here. And so, again, I said we're going to talk about 5 silent killers that no one wants to talk about in their marriage.
Yeah.
And so, let's get off to a good start here. What's the first one you want to mention?
I would probably want to do doing life separately.
Doing life separately. Ooh.
In marriage. Yeah.
Yeah. That's now that should be an oxymoron. Because marriage is supposed to be a man and a wife coming together in unity to create one new entity. But doing life separately is actually the opposite
Of that.
of marriage, of a union, of unity. And so, let's talk about doing life separately.
Yeah, because I recently heard a woman pastor of a very large church said that if she gets married, that she prefer if they don't live in the same house, and that she's not looking for a first man because she's a pastor, and she's not looking for him to come and sit on the front row. Let him do his life and don't come over here messing up this part. I was baffled. And
Sounds like you're still baffled.
I am. So now I'm confused. Do you want to be married? And you are leading a very, very large church, and you're pastoring, and with that philosophy, and if that's my philosophy, then normally that's going to come off on other women that I bump into because you said it on national television or on national podcasts. So that means if you can say something so blunt out loud and it was normal to you, then my question is maybe you shouldn't get married if this purpose and this call is so important to you that you're not willing to come under submission if he has a different plan. What if you're not supposed to be that forever? Now that you have a husband and he's a pastor somewhere. And so are we saying, no, that's what you said, that this is what I do. And I hope you show up doing whatever you do and don't try to bridge them. And so that's already starting out doing life separately.
Yeah.
And what a philosophy as a believer.
Yeah. And I'm not trying to put words in anybody's mouth or whatever, but it would almost paint the picture that, you're there, I'm here, you're doing your thing, I'm doing my thing. But since we're married, that means that when we need to get together, we can legally, under the side of God, get
Basically,
together.
that's what they said. Come and we can
So
get together.
it almost sounds like an arrangement for
Yeah.
sex that
Versus-
that doesn't fall under the category of sin.
Yeah. Well, we can travel. We can go out to eat. We can do those things. That's what they said. And I'm just like, wow, that's deep. Because most people that get married want to do life with the person that they're married to, and they want to go to bed at night together. They want to be able to eat together. They want to be able to raise children together and those type of things.
You would think that's what you want.
Yeah. But today it's a little different.
So I would call that a especially talking about starting out like that. That's a great, wide, big, huge example of living life separately.
Yeah.
I think people also live life separately and don't even realize it.
Okay.
Like, for example, we live in the same house, but our life is really about, I work here, I work over here, I'm just going to make up something. I work over here at the post office and you work for the electric company and we're raising these kids and we're just kind of doing life passing, and it's just kind of range, it's kind of, and we're growing. We don't spend time together because when we do come together, it's pretty much we got these kids, we got these children, and then eventually we get sleepy, go to sleep or whatever, or you may get something in because you're married or whatever. But that's really a separate life.
Absolutely.
There's not a lot of what are you doing on purpose in this relationship that's making sure you're staying connected and that you're growing together and not growing apart. Because one thing about doing life separately is that you grow apart because over the course of the next few years, you're hearing things, you're reading things, you're watching things that is changing the way you think and causing you to, grow in a different direction. You're reading something else totally different, watching something else totally different, listening to something else totally different, causing you to grow in a direction. And now the person that I married, we're different people. And if we've been doing it apart, we're different people that we're starting to not know each other. We're starting to be disconnected while we're right under the same roof.
And that's why you see once empty nest syndrome happens, normally the marriage happens.
The marriage ends.
Yeah, meaning that it ends.
Yeah.
And it's like, why did it end? I really didn't know him. I really didn't know her. Because even in the midst of raising children, they should not take the place of your marriage. And they should not create an environment where you can't spend time together. That means that you're doing something wrong and that your balance is off, or you're obsessed with something that you feel like I have to neglect one for the other. That your balance is off. And so I remember raising our children, we didn't stop dating. And you always told our children that your mother comes first. And they totally understood that because you said it so much. And they watched us be able to do that. And there was a balance. And if they were going to be in any type of sports or anything, you didn't allow them to be in 2 and 3 and 4 and 5 at one time. You wasn't playing basketball and baseball at the same time, because that was another distraction of they're not getting ready to play in the NBA. They are not
at
even getting
7
ready
and
to
8
go
and 9
get
and 10.
drafted in college and when they're 5, 6, 7, 8, you know? So why are you allowing them to be doing so many things that you can't even see your spouse?
You can't see your spouse. They can't see a dinner table because you got to
They're
stop
always
at fast
somewhere.
food
Yeah.
restaurants on the way home to
Yeah.
get ready for bed and all this kind of stuff. And like another good example, like we did physical things that were examples of, you know, our relationship being first before the kids. So like if we're sitting somewhere at church or on the couch watching TV or something, and one of the kids try to come and sit down, they couldn't sit in between us.
No.
Nope. You come sit over here or you come sit over there,
Yeah.
but you don't sit in between me and my wife. Nothing comes between me and my wife. So it was a you know a picture
Yeah.
of that this union is important. And we would periodically say, because one day y'all gonna grow up
Yep.
and leave,
Yep.
but we got to stay together forever. So we
Absolutely.
had to let them know things like that. Or, you know, I would occasionally tell them something that, you know, kind of shook them, maybe shook you too.
Yep,
You know, I say, hey, listen, my wife comes first. So I love all y'all, but if we out in the middle of the ocean and the boat turn over or whatever, I'm going to save her first.
Ask me what I said.
Then I'll come back and get y'all. Now she said something totally different. So we didn't have a united front.
No, I'm coming for my babies at the end of the day. Oh my God. They were like, Daddy said. And I'm just like, wow.
But
yeah.
it was to paint a picture to them that marriage is this relationship is the
It's
ultimate.
the most important
it's
thing.
the most important thing.
Yeah. And so many children are in first place in the family. And it's out of place because even God has an order.
Absolutely.
And you allow your children for you not to even be a great wife and not be a great husband based on the children. And that can be so disturbing in so many ways because you did not teach them how to do this thing right. Because when you think about it, it's never about you. You're always training the next generation, whether good or bad.
That's a good point because since you're not going to get this in school,
Yeah.
this is not going. We already established that early
Yes.
in the episode. You're not going to get this in school, so school should be the home.
Yeah.
Now that's unfortunate when so many homes don't even have two parents.
No.
Many homes don't have two parents following God,
No.
and so, but every child in a home is in school.
Yep. Whether they like it or not.
Whether it's a good school or a bad school.
Yeah.
And we know. I remember you were in back when you were in nutrition school. You were in one of your classes, and one of the speakers said the number one thing, a problem in America is the lack of good parenting.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And people didn't understand it because they say, how can nutrition play a role in that? You know, of just one parent, poverty, your lack of, them not being available to prepare the right stuff. All of those things play a role in all of it, in your health. And I used to get so angry in our communities when they would say things on the news like, we are at higher risk than any other nationality. And I'll be like, what? But then as I start studying and doing the nutrition and being able to meet with people, based on your environment, it's true because that's going to determine how high your stress level is, how you function, how you see things, if it's going to make you depressed or, I mean, it plays a role in all of those things. And what people can't see, it's affecting the gut, the nervous system, and all of these things. And your health is at risk. So you are going to be higher for a heart attack. You're going to be higher for a stroke and diabetes and things like that based on your lifestyle. And now it makes sense, that it didn't. I used to be so angry. That's a racist statement. And now it is very accurate.
Yeah. Let's talk about what are some things that couples can do to grow together instead of apart. And type in the comments, what are you doing in your relationship to grow together? Or type in the comments, what's going on in your relationship that's kind of bringing, having y'all do it in life separately.
Yeah, because some of the things most of everything we talk about, a couple was dealing with. And we know because we are marriage and family therapists, we see couples and we know that they're doing life separately. And we know that they're on a journey of just existing and being roommates, based on how hostile the relationship is.
I just thought about another something before we go into what we could do to do life together. This is something that when we were young in marriage that we used to do that was doing life separately, not even realize it. When we got to the point that we had a home big enough to have TVs on multiple floors or in different rooms or whatever, you would be in one room watching a Lifetime movie or something, and then I'd be in another room watching a football game or a basketball game or something like that. And so, after coming home from work, and then we're watching our separate
You already been
stuff.
separate all day.
Now we're separate again, watching our separate shows and separate things or whatever. And then the only time we come together is to go to bed or go to, go to sleep at night or whatever. And so that's growing separately. And because we're not together, we're not watching the same things, and in the space where we can actually be talking about the same things, if it's a movie or if it's a sport or whatever. Now that's some communication, connection that could be going on. And so at some point, I ain't gonna say I decided I got information. That's back in my focus on the family days. I got information that, you know what, you need to watch things that she's watching, and she needs to watch things that you're watching. So yeah, I had to start watching Lifetime movies and things like that, or getting into different movies. And now I like rom-coms and different things like that. And she'll watch some action movies with me. I know she wouldn't go watch an action movie on her own.
Yeah.
But if I want to see one, she'll watch it with me. If she wants to watch a musical or something like that, I'll watch a musical with her. I wouldn't go watch a musical on my own.
Yeah.
Unless it was MJ.
Yeah. And we're not saying, let's be clear, that you can't do anything on your own.
Yeah, we're not saying that.
We're not saying
That's a
that.
good point.
And so if I want to go to the mall by myself, I don't need you to go to the mall with me all the time for us to do life together.
How you gonna get there?
I have a driver's license. I do drive.
So why do I taxi you around everywhere?
Well, you don't have to come in. I'm
Okay.
just playing. Just get me there, driver. And so I'm just saying that don't get it confused and don't say, who does that? Or that's just too much.
That's a problem right
Yeah,
there.
yeah.
Okay, that's a sign that there's a problem. Not that we can't do. I mean, you don't go golfing with me.
No.
I don't go to the track walking with you, or go get your when you're getting your nails done, or different things or whatever. We have our little things that we do separately.
Yeah.
But most of our life, for 34 years, we've engaged in things together. And there was even a time early in our life that you did hair and I was a barber, and we did it in the same shop together or whatever. And so to some people, like, that's just too much. I need my
They
space.
used to tell us that all the time, like, y'all do everything together.
Why do you get married and then think like there's something that's too much?
Yeah.
Like, no, you only feel like it's too much because you haven't figured out how to love one another and how to get along. And you realize that if you do more things separately, then you're growing apart.
Yeah, and I would say, shame on you if you are in a marriage and your wife likes to travel and you won't ever. Shame on you if you guys can go somewhere romantic, if it's just once a year, and your wife was dancing 100 times before she met you and she can't do it one time with you. Shame on you. That means that you're not just selfish, you're not cultivating the relationship and giving some of the things that they need and want from you. And a lot of times that's where the separation starts too. I'm just not doing it. And I am so tired of seeing all of these women show up to everything alone. It's like, where is he at?
Married women showing
And I'm only
showing up
talking
alone.
about married women on this one. Like, where he at? And these are the things they say, girl, or he wouldn't come. Or he was like, I'm not doing that. It's like, what did you get married for? To still be so selfish and to live like you are a single person. It's like, or you get married and your husband says, can we have sex at least twice a week? And you say no. It's just like, what you sign up for? It's like, I really don't think that most people knew the definition of marriage, because they didn't understand that those things are not something that you do. And it just breaks my heart to just have to see so many women do life alone.
Yeah, and let me speak to a little bit more to the men. you don't realize what you're missing out on in cultivating your wife in a way that if you would be a part of the things that she likes to do as well, if you would go to some events that you wouldn't go to on your own, and
Yeah.
you're not excited to go. But if she's excited, then be excited for her. Go there, be on her arm, be
Yeah.
there with her, and watch her enjoy herself. Talk with her, whatever. Don't go just because the little bird said I gotta go, so now she on me, I need to go, and then you go and you're sitting there like a frog on a log
Yeah.
or whatever, like you wish you wasn't there or whatever.
Yeah.
You might as well not have been there.
Yeah. Don't you want to see some excitement? Don't you want her to feel joy?
That was like when I used to early on in my
Yeah.
relationship when we would go to the mall or whatever, and you go in the stores, and then I go out the store and stand around and look at people or whatever, or if they had a seat, I'll go in and sit down or whatever, and and I didn't want to be there. I'd rather have been home watching football or something. But when I got to the point there where I realized, hey, you know what, it can't be all about you.
Yeah.
And I would go in with you, and I would look at stuff with you. I was like, oh, this looks like you. Hey, try that on,
Yeah.
whatever. See what that looks like on you, or whatever.
Yeah.
And be involved in it. When you're involved with each other, it just cultivates one another.
Absolutely.
And instead of and we've seen, like, I don't know if that's one of the four horsemen, but early on in the relationship, when you see that, you already know that relationship will not survive.
No.
And if they don't get a divorce, they will not be happy. She will not be happy
Yeah.
if she gotta either show up always alone or not go because she don't want to be alone.
Yeah. Or I don't want to be embarrassed.
Yeah.
Like I heard some women say, I didn't want to go to church because I don't want them to ask me where he's at.
Yeah.
And I'm embarrassed to know, and I'm trying to protect him and I'm trying to cover him. And like, that's a lot. That's living separately, and somebody is not acting like Christ, and somebody is not considering the other person over themselves, like Christ told the husband to love your wife like Christ loved the church, that you would die for her, to the point where you can't even make a slight bend in your schedule or your personality. So that means if you can't do that, how you going to die for her?
You're not.
You're not, because you're not willing to die for her, whether it's spiritually. If it's, what's the word I'm looking for? Die for her in the way where you will protect her spiritually and physically.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's like, it's several ways you can die. And it's like, you're not even willing to do that.
You won't die for her, but you want her to submit to you.
Absolutely.
Where they do that at?
I'm just like, it's not adding up. And so if you want to know what separation looks like, that's what it looks like.
That's what it looks like.
That you're doing all of these things and it's you in the house and you ain't talked to your spouse in 2 weeks.
Right.
Some people get the silent treatment that long.
Absolutely.
Oh my God. And we just keep saying we're Christians. We're believers and that we know Jesus. No.
No. And so what it looks like to dwell together is the opposite of some of these things that we've been talking about, for sure.
Yeah, that's too easy.
But like also details like things like reading the same books.
If you read.
If you read, if one doesn't read to the other one,
Yeah.
or something like that. Praying together, eating together, sitting down at the table, eating and talking, not being on your phone, going to same events. It's something as simple as we're going to watch the same series.
The whole thing together. And when we would do it, if you couldn't, I stopped.
Did you say the whole thing together?
If will the people on the
I don't want to
podcast
get into a fight. I don't want to
pray?
get into a
Will the
fight.
people on the podcast pray that my husband can stay up for an hour when he sit down?
How about we start watching a 10 series episode or 10 episode season, and we watch the first 5 together, and then all of a sudden I can't watch the 6th one at that time, and so you watch the next 5 in one night by yourself. That's growing apart to me.
Who does that?
Yeah, who does that?
People who binge, who cannot wait till the next day.
But something as simple as that.
Yeah.
Growing, watching a series together, and that's a good anticipation, especially for her, that we're gonna grab our popcorn, or we're gonna grab our healthy snack or whatever, and we're gonna watch this together, and that just gives us something else to talk about. We're gonna read certain books together. Oh, I saw this video. Check this out. Oh man, I heard this, this was great on this podcast. Watch this. Even our whole family, we send each other stuff and, watch this. Oh, this was good. This was funny. I watched something the other day and I was like, hey, I want the people that were connected to me that came over for Resurrection Sunday. Hey, y'all watch this. We can all learn something from
Yeah.
this. And so that's how we do life together. All right. So that was a good little roll on one. I don't know if we're going to get to 5.
Well, the second one would be like a lack of appreciation.
Okay. Like appreciation, taking each other for granted. Yeah. That's a tough one because
Tough one.
you have to force yourself. And I was thinking about that today. It's crazy that I occasionally always think about this when I'm more not around you.
That's a
When
problem.
I'm riding in my car.
That's a
when I
problem.
do a lot of thinking.
Okay, well,
When I
stay
ride-
in your car. No, I'm just playing.
When I'm in my car, I do a lot of thinking,
Yeah,
a lot
stay
of
in your
praying,
car.
a lot of talking to God, a lot of stuff like that or whatever. So just today, I wasn't even planning on saying this, but just today, I was riding in my car or whatever, and I was like, man, I gotta start remembering to telling her how much I appreciate her, and. I think the thing that fights against a lack of appreciation is when we have these spats of disagreements or misunderstandings or things like that, and these little conflicts. And I say little conflicts to us because we're there. If we told you our conflicts, you'd be like,
Don't tell nobody
y'all
that.
don't have conflict
Yeah.
or whatever. Yeah, but for other people that are watching, they can be a lot bigger.
Because ours used to be a lot bigger.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. So
And they know 'cause
we
they've
know.
seen the podcast.
Yeah. So we used to have those big conflicts.
But the plan is not to stay there forever.
Exactly, and because of that, you begin to start focusing and seeing your mate from that space more, and your mind starts to look. When you start to talk to them and start to look at them, your mind starts to anticipate they're going negative, or here comes what's wrong now, and now you're in protection mode, you're in defense mode, things like that, and we got to fight through that to look for the things that we appreciate, more about one another. Like I'll say this on here on Resurrection Sunday, I know you love family and you love family being around, and you wanted to have the family over and do some brunch, and you prepared this brunch, but you wasn't feeling your best. But you really worked hard at really preparing a huge brunch, and then not only did you prepare this huge brunch, but then you was like, hey, let's go into the formal room where we can all sit 10 out of 10 at this table together, and we had some fun, great conversation.
it was fire.
I mean, fire conversation, and so that you sparked that event, and Resurrection Day was already amazing from church, but then that just doubled down on it and it made it more amazing. And so I really appreciate you working so hard to get that going, and you're a special lady.
Thank you.
But yeah, lack of appreciation, man. We have to fight against taking one another for granted, and just complaining about. I heard this, and I'm gonna share this.
Okay.
We have to be careful about complaining about things and stopping there. And I'm gonna explain to you what I'm talking about. And so it's not to say that you can't express your feelings about something or even displeasure about something. So that's not what I'm saying. But when you express your displeasure about something or you complain about something and you leave it there, you are cementing in your brain a pathway of complaint, and you are looking at this person or this situation in a negative way, and you are doubling down and tripling down on that pathway, and that is going to be the way that you see them for the rest of your life together. And so you say, okay, well, you said it's okay to express yourself or maybe complain. The reason I said you can't leave it there. So if I express something that was displeasurable to me, or something I didn't like, or I had to complain about something, then to help myself and to help this relationship, I got to say, well, okay, but now that I got that out, what I'm gonna do about it is, hey, I'm gonna love you anyway, or I'm gonna push through it or whatever. I'm not gonna dwell on that. I'm going to dwell on the good thing. You got to do something else to your brain to trigger your brain to say, we're not going to stay here. We're not going to leave this in a place of negativity. I'm going to drop this off, and then I'm going to move to a place of what I'm going to do about it or something positive about it, so that you don't lock yourself into being a negative or complaining person. And that was, I was like, well, and it's just blowing me away the more I'm understanding, learning how the brain works and how that causes us to function well or not well.
Because one of the things with the lack of appreciation is that once something is done so long, then you have an expectation that that's what you should do. Everything that I do for you out of appreciation is nothing something that I have to do. Some of it is just my love and caring in who I am for people or for you. It doesn't mean, but over time, oh, I know she gonna cook. Over time, oh, I know she gonna be the one that anything we do is gonna be her. Those type of things. But then you have this excitement and this fun, like you just said, in the midst of it. But then we start saying things. That's just who she is. That's just what they do. Instead of seeing it from a place of appreciation. And when you do that, you just lose something there. And it doesn't keep you in a space of like, man, I'm glad I'm with her. Or I'm glad I'm with him.
No, absolutely.
You lose all that.
You got and one of the things I have to say it, but like one of the ways I show my appreciation to you when you do a big meal like that, or when you do just a small meal for you and I, is I come and I clean up.
Yeah.
You cooked it, you dirtied it up for us. I'm gonna clean it up for us. No, I mean that in a good way. I mean you can't.
You said dirty it up.
You can't cook in a pot and it not be dirty now.
Yeah, that's
true. You can't put food on dishes and they not be dirty now.
Okay.
So I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about now I ain't trying to talk about you putting salt and pepper all on the counter and the floors down there. Get out there. I'm not talking about that. I'm just saying you put the work in to prepare the meal. The least I can do to show my appreciation is to clean up after you, after us, after we eat and do this meal or whatever. So that's one of the ways that I show my appreciation to you. You're my wife. You're my help. You've always helped in this household and in this family and things like that or whatever. You're a lady. I treat you like a lady. If something's going wrong, I'm gonna go take care of it. I'm gonna go fix it. You need gas. I'm gonna go get it. Whatever. Your car need to be washed. I'm gonna go wash it. You know what I'm saying? All these things these are ways that I show my appreciation. But I'm saying also I want to get to the point to where I'm actually also saying it more as well. But I want to keep showing it, doing the things that show it, but also saying it.
I show my appreciation by allowing you to hold my hand. And sometimes I allow you to kiss me on my cheek. No,
sometimes. Sometimes you allow me. I feel special when you allow me to give you a kiss.
Oh my God, that's funny. But yeah, and so we have to be, the more grateful you are, the more appreciation will rise.
And you can't be grateful when you're
critical.
That was the other thing. I didn't say that, but that's the other thing. When you complain and leave it there, everybody's gonna be able to type in the chat. I've done that before. If you get this example, whatever car you drive, when you bought that car, tell me you didn't see that car everywhere you drove.
It's like, man,
Tell me you didn't
see a red Lexus, but I see them all now.
You see them all. You see that car everywhere you go. It doesn't matter, even if it's not the same color, it's the same type, the same make, the same model. I never paid attention to that car until I got one. Now I see it everywhere. That's because the brain is now being alerted to. They were there all the time. Here's another good example. If I asked you right now, how many black pickup trucks did you see today when you were out driving about? You wouldn't be able to tell me. But if I told you earlier today, count the number of black pickup trucks that you see when you're driving about, you would notice them all.
I would have been aware.
So what we're doing to ourselves and to our brain and to our relationship is that when we're complaining and being critical and leaving it there, we're making ourselves aware of everything about our spouse that we don't like. And so we're training ourselves to be aware. So every time I see a yellow Volkswagen, there go another one. There go another one. There go another one. So what am I saying? Every time I see this in my spouse, and you're going to notice more.
No, that's 100% accurate. I mean, because we've all done that.
Yeah.
We continue if you don't cut this thing off, at the butt.
So we need to start noticing more of the good things and the positive things about our spouse and our relationship. Why? Because now we're training our brains to notice more good things and to notice more positive
And
things.
you have to do it intentionally.
You got to do it
Because
intentionally.
if the negative has overrode that and that's what's been present, then you have to rewire yourself.
Yes.
You have to rewire yourself. And
that's
that
not
doesn't
easy.
come with you just saying, I ain't going to think about it. I ain't going to think about it. It doesn't come with willpower.
No, it doesn't.
It doesn't. And so you have to be able to do it on purpose.
And I love the fact that you said do it on purpose. You actually have to do something.
Yeah.
So it's not gonna retrain me. Well, it doesn't just retrain me to think about doing it.
Yeah. I would like to be better in
It
this
trains
area.
me by actually doing it.
Yes.
By saying
Even
it,
when it's uncomfortable.
even when it's uncomfortable. Now there is a thing to actually thinking about doing it and meditating on it or whatever, that your brain can't tell the difference between you doing it or not. Like if you really see yourself. So like it'd be different if I'm driving down the street, not saying like, man, I should tell my wife I appreciate her more. That's one thing. But if I'm driving down the street and I imagine myself walking in the house and say, baby, I appreciate you so much. You are such a special lady. Even though I'm in my car, the fact that I saw myself doing it, I'm training my brain, because my brain can't tell the difference between it being real or imagined.
So how often do you do that?
How often do I do it? I haven't been counting.
Liar, liar, pants on fire.
but you get what
I
I'm
get
saying.
your point. I get your point.
And so this is something that we can do to help retrain ourselves, and you got to, because if you're not retraining yourself, you're going to notice every little thing about your spouse that you don't like, just like you notice every car down the street that looks like yours.
Yeah. That's,
Man, that's
So if you haven't told your spouse today or a week ago or a month ago, and you are still in this fight, then find something today to be able to tell your spouse that you are appreciative
and
about.
type it in the comments.
Yeah.
Type it in the comments what you're going to tell your spouse before you tell them.
Tell us
Tell us in the comments
what you are appreciative of.
and then you go tell them.
Yeah.
Love it. All right. Anything else on that one? All right. What's next?
The intimacy that's fading.
Fading?
Yeah.
Physical intimacy
that
fading.
is fading.
Okay. Physical intimacy fading. So I think there's a couple of things that can cause physical intimacy to fade. That doing life apart, being critical, all these things. There's things that we're not connecting that can cause the physical intimacy to fade. And so we can speak on that. And then the other thing that can cause physical intimacy to fade is that, as we get, especially with men, a lot of men, as they get older, they lose the sex drive. It's not as strong as it used to be. Maybe because of the way we eat and things like that. Maybe the testosterone is not as good or whatever.
Yeah,
Or
'cause
something
I
like that.
really-
There's a lot of
yeah.
potential things.
Because these are the things we say. When a woman gets older, her drive gets stronger and his go down. Why would God do that? I just don't think that's true.
And then, so why does it seem like when they're young, his is stronger than hers?
That's not always necessary. It depends on when you first come into this. People are learning each other and all kind of different things. And sometimes so many things are brought into the relationship from the street that some women are just not down for. And so, or if they're not being treated right, they don't want to. Or if it feels like you just jumped me and that was it. Because when you're younger, you're not considering the other person most of the time that I've watched being in a marriage. And when you were in your 20s versus, now, it wasn't about the other person. It was about, and when men are normally in their 20s, they're thinking about sex, and sex. They're not thinking about, I need to please my wife. I need to take care of her too, or take care of her first. But you're not thinking about, and then it's a turnoff to the point where the desire for her is not the same because she doesn't feel like it's intimacy. She feels like I'm almost a prostitute, or you just did this. You don't even talk to me.
Okay, so my question. So you said when a man normally he's in his 20s, all he's thinking all day long is about
Yeah.
sex, sex, sex. So when he's at work somewhere thinking about sex, 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 when she's at home, is she thinking about sex, sex, sex? Usually not
I
as
don't
much.
think a woman is ever, well, I can't speak for every woman. I can speak for the women that I talk to. I don't think a woman is ever always thinking about sex, because that's not.
So why did God do that?
No, but I'm saying, but what he did do is when you love your wife correctly, you connect with her. It ain't normally a time where she doesn't want to. So if a man learns how to connect early and he knew how to express his emotions, he wasn't walking around with this man cave mentality like this is what a strong man is. You will be blown away of how many men will have a different story about this side of relationship.
I will potentially choose to not necessarily 100% agree.
Hey, you got every right to do so.
I'm thinking, even in, I know it's that we don't see a lot of this.
Yeah.
But even in a good, healthy relationship where that man loves his wife or whatever, and is catering to her, taking care of her or whatever, that man might want to have sex 6 days in a row. She's not gonna want to. More than likely.
If she have children already, probably not. If she working a job just like you, probably not. And so, not that if things being all equal in everything, I'm a stay-at-home mom. I'm not here wrestling with the children all day. The things that you're not doing as a man, and the responsibilities that she may have that you don't have, because most of the times a man go to work, she go to work and take care of the kids, and she comes home and prepare.
I'm talking about a man that's not like that. I'm talking about if the man if she works and he works, then they should have shared responsibilities at home.
I hear what you're saying, but we're talking about the reality of why this is the way that it is. I can talk for myself. Early on in the 20s, you didn't think like you think now. And in
Which area?
In the area of sex, rushed, or you didn't think about me as often as like now. It's like night and day because you matured.
I thought you was because we were talking about shared responsibility, so I didn't know where.
No,
where
I'm
you were
saying
going,
like you've always helped with whatever.
Yeah.
But the majority of the men, I mean the women that I talk to, we can see them at a grocery store, and she can be pushing back, putting all the stuff in the car, and he ain't got in the car. So we understand the majority of the people in the world. When we say, or we hear men complain about certain things, when you sit them down and talk to them, it's mostly because of how she feels about how she's been treated, or how she just feels like a piece of meat.
Oh, I 100%
Do you see what
agree
I'm
with
saying?
that.
So I don't really think it's the drive. I think it's the way that people are treated that causes
I believe
a lack
that.
of.
I 100% agree that adds to it.
Yeah.
100%.
Yeah.
I was just saying in that makeup scenario that I said that if they are both, he is catering to her, she is they're both loving each other, they're both sharing the responsibility of raising their family and kids, they both work, things like that or
All
whatever.
things being equal, I normally don't
He's
see
probably
people
gonna
saying
wanna
I
have
don't want
sex.
to.
He's going to want to have. I'm just thinking he's going to want to have sex a lot more than she is.
But
we don't know.
We don't know. But you may. But I don't see her turning that person down majority of the time. And so I'm just saying that when God gave man sex, or gave him that appetite for that, it was always to keep you coming back to your wife, because he know you'll work yourself to death and you would just keep doing things without coming home. Not coming home like you're going to somebody else, but I am saying that thing that's there, it draws you back. And so it wasn't for us to go be drawn. It wasn't that way.
So you think sex only draws us to you? You don't think it draws you to us?
I think connection draws us to you first, and sex is a bonus.
I personally think that sex, it draws both of us to one another, and I think connection draws both of us to one another.
Yeah.
I just think that men have allowed ourselves through society to be trained in a different way to where we don't realize the connection
Absolutely.
that we need
and
to
that,
have
and
what
that's
it
a
does
problem.
for us. Yeah.
And so because of that, It doesn't draw.
But
Yeah.
connection, men obviously are drawn by connection because they connect to other men that do the things they like.
I think that's recreational.
Yeah, but it's still a connection.
Yeah. But I don't think it's a deep connection.
And men want, and but men, like I love recreational connection with you. I love watching a game with you. I love going to play pickleball with you.
But when you
I love when we played tennis.
Yeah.
When we played in the couples golf or
Yeah.
whatever. I love
and
that
pickleball
stuff.
and all of that.
Yeah, that's a connection.
But the connection that we would have during those things that draws you to me in a physical way as well. That's not drawing you that away to another man.
No,
Do
absolutely.
you
'cause
see what I'm saying?
No, absolutely.
And so it's a total different connection.
No,
You will
it's a
never have
different
the
connection, but it's a
connection with
connection.
a man that you connect with playing basketball as if you were on the pickleball or golf course with your wife and it was fire and it was just all of those things. Is something that happens in that relationship.
I don't know.
If not, then I'm gonna I'm gonna be suspect.
No, I'm saying because when I play pickleball with you, or I play golf with you, or we're watching a game with you, I'm connecting with you in a like and fun way. That's not. I'm not when I'm playing pickleball with you. That's not making me think about sex or anything like that or whatever. That's the fun. That's the fun connection with me and you or whatever.
Okay.
And so when I play golf with the fellas, I enjoy that. I look forward to that camaraderie. That's what I'm looking for. That's the word I'm looking for, camaraderie. So I connect with the camaraderie with you in that point or whatever. Now, the fact that we're connecting, then I get to connect with you in many other different see you in other different type of lights and ways and things like that. Those type of things, visually makes me connect with you in a way. I see you in a way that I'll never see them knuckleheads.
I hope so.
Never.
I pray.
So that draws a different type of connection. So visually, yes, it draws a different type of connection. But the whole buddy part, I think, men connect to other men.
Okay.
They
But I watch
do.
men connect to other men who don't connect to their wives.
Exactly.
And so
Why is that? I know that ain't what we're talking about today, but why is that? Because they can connect with these guys in a way that we're not critical of one another. We just having
there's
good
no
fun.
challenge, there's no accountability and those things. But
Those
when
things are
there
not
is
there.
accountability in all of those type of things, sometimes men shy away from that.
Especially if there's not an ample amount of honor and respect
Absolutely.
as well.
I agree.
Yeah.
100%. And with the woman, when there's no connection and there's no intimacy, same thing.
Absolutely.
And so that thing end up fading over all these things.
Yes.
And then you find yourself, people saying, we ain't had sex in 4 months.
Yeah.
We ain't had sex I heard somebody tell me they ain't had sex in a year.
Yeah.
And I'm like, what? In their relationship, like
Isn't there something
years.
in the marriage thing that says that if you haven't had sex and there's no physical challenge that's keeping you from having sex, if you haven't had sex in 6 months, that your marriage fades away?
It had faded.
There's an annulment. I mean, you're legally not married anymore. Because
Because if you don't want to touch your wife
Right.
or your husband within that time frame, the marriage is probably over.
Yeah.
And it's just like, how did we get here? And a lot of things, another thing that helps intimacy fade is people who are watching pornography.
Oh yes, yeah, that does.
Because majority of the people that we counsel in that area, men, and it affects men differently than it does her. Once a man watches long enough, he no longer wants to touch his wife.
Yeah,
And that's like,
and he can't touch her without visualizing
The
probably
other.
the pornography. Yeah.
And so it will never, it's almost like how that one guy described getting high.
I was thinking the same thing.
Oh my God.
It's
Like when he
drugs. It's like drugs.
described getting high for the first time, he said the reason the addiction, we already know that from psychology and everything, the addiction gets you is because you're chasing
Chasing that initial
that
high.
initial high. And so then you watch pornography, you feel the way that you feel. People don't understand in the brain, in the back.
amygdala.
Look,
Yeah,
it is shrinking every time that you do that. And so many women sit in our chair and say, he won't even touch me.
Yeah.
And to me, it seems like if I was watching something like that, it would make me want to. And I hear women say if they watch it, they want to.
Yeah.
And it does the opposite for a man.
For a man that has
Done it over time.
done it too long. Yeah.
Yeah. What you mean? When I don't know what that means.
Done the pornography too long.
Oh,
Is that what
okay.
you're saying? I was just.
No, I'm just trying to say,
It
like,
makes, if they're watching something, but he's been addicted to pornography. So now when he's watching something with her, it doesn't make him want to touch her.
oh no.
Because he's been addicted to this pornography.
Yeah, and-
but you're saying it makes her want to
Yeah.
be with him.
Yeah. Yeah. And so that's just crazy. Just the flip side of this thing. It's like, so is it doing something different to the brain, to the other one? It's incredible. So pornography in a marriage is one of the destroyers of a marriage.
Oh, absolutely.
I'm
One
like,
of the killers.
It is a killer.
Makes people want to get with other people. Makes
Yes.
people want to bring other people into their. It makes all kind of things.
It's so demonic.
Yeah.
And I've heard different people and celebrities set on TV and say, I don't understand why people have a problem with it. It's just like, this is just what we do. And it's like, how did that become normal? And that's something that you can just set up and do.
So
but
abnormal.
if it was not a bad thing to do, then why won't you just? And I'm sure that
Some
that
people do.
somebody do.
I already know
But most people being normal, they're not sitting up with their spouse watching pornography.
Right.
So, because why is it hidden so much?
Yeah.
Why are you hiding? Why do they have to find out? Why is it a secret if it's not so bad?
Yeah.
And if it doesn't destroy the relationship. So that to me is one of the number one silent killers in the world of intimacy.
Yeah, and poor women, like a lot of times women will, that's early on, they will agree with this foolishness because they don't want to lose him or they think something like that. But then they get down that road and then they realize that I don't want to be down this road. This ain't really what I want.
Nope. Or I've already lost them anyway.
Yeah, and then that was too late because you agree. You said that you would explore that with them and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
It's like, shame. Like, when are we just going to do things God's way
I don't know.
and understand that his way is smarter than us? And he's telling us these things because they're best for us.
Boundaries for protection.
Yes.
And some people turn around and make them be rules. I don't see rules. I see protection and love, and that he is trying to keep us away from the very thing that Jesus died on the cross for, and that is sin. And the more that you rebel against that, the deeper you go off into darkness and destroy generations to come. And I haven't seen anybody end well who won't stop practicing sin and doing it their way.
No, the Bible says sin has pleasure for a season.
A season.
But
What
when
is
it
that
matures,
season?
it leads to death,
Yeah.
eternal separation from
Yeah,
God.
to the point where you tell yourself, it's going to work out eventually. I'm just going to stay on this path.
Yeah.
It's not going to work out.
No, it never
And I
works
just
out.
told somebody the other day that if you haven't realized it, that you are in this earth and you are participating in a dress rehearsal, whether you like it or not. And you only have two options for a role. There ain't another role. There's only two. And that is, I'm either auditioning for heaven or I'm auditioning for hell. And you get to decide what role you want. God won't pick it for you. He won't make you. He won't tie you down. He won't drag you. He won't do none of that. You get to choose whether the role you're going to spend eternity playing is either going to be with him or separated from him. And you get to choose. And these pleasures of the world and these things that we desire, because we'll say, I fell into it, or I couldn't, no, this is a desire inside of you that's warring inside of you that you have to uproot. Because if you don't uproot this thing, it will have you and take your life. And so you can't say I was being tested or I was being tempted. God doesn't tempt man in that way, especially not to sin.
No.
And so you have to make a decision on what role you're going to play. And if you're going to be, what one you're going to be the star of the show.
Right.
You know, and so the beautiful thing is love gets to choose. And you get to choose.
Yeah.
And so, yeah.
Absolutely. All right. Is that 4? Did we do? Is there?
No, but I want to ask them some of these questions, and then one of the statements and stuff that we want to bring into it.
Okay. So, but I want keep me on track. Help keep me on track. How many have we done? Have we done
4.
3 or 4? So that was 4. Okay. So we got one more to go.
Yeah.
Okay. So got a questions for the comments.
Yeah, so for the comments, one of the questions I would like for you to ask yourself, because sometimes you're in a place where you won't ask your spouse. It's like, when did we stop talking? And why don't we talk anymore? And why are we just tolerating it being this way? That's one of the questions. And then one of the other questions is ask yourself, how did I get to the place where I don't feel seen anymore? And that I don't feel that my spouse sees me or hear me. And then ask yourself, if you're the person that's causing it, why would you want someone that you say you love to feel this way in a marriage, in a relationship with you? Are you a mean person? Are you an unloving person that you would want someone to feel like that? You know, we got to really be real and dig deep down into these real reality of things in the questions that we're not willing to ask ourselves. And then the other one is
Are we growing together or just
existing. Yeah. Are we growing together or just existing? And if that is the case, it doesn't have to remain that way. Because if it's only that way and you plan on being married until Jesus comes, you won't. Because nothing survives in that. If I stop watering a plant, it's going to die. If I stop feeding an animal, it's going to die. If I stop feeding you, you're going to die. So do you think that if you are no longer feeding this marriage, that it's not going to die?
No, it's going to die.
It's going to die.
Yeah.
Yeah. But you can resurrect it.
Yeah, I was about to say the same thing. To those that are dead right now, you still can resurrect it.
Absolutely.
Start feeding it right now, today. All right, cool. All right, so one more silent killer that that kills marriages that people don't want to talk about, and that is unspoken expectations.
Yeah. Wow. People have probably created about 100 of them in the marriage.
One thing I hate is that when we grab expectations from other sources, like social media and what some post that somebody else is putting out about what a woman should be or what a man should be, and now we grab that and make it an expectation for our spouse. You know, don't put any expectations on your spouse from somebody else or from somebody else's spouse. You know, come together with your spouse and in your relationship and decide how y'all gonna flow and operate as one unit, one union, one entity, and not, you scrolling, then you coming home mad.
Oh, man, that's a real thing.
It's a real thing.
And you can talk to somebody and you can come home mad because, dang, that ain't happening for me. And now you are sitting up meditating on what another husband and wife is doing with each other or for each other. Is your husband in a position to do that for you? Is your husband in a position for you guys, or are y'all in a position that it's time to go buy that new house? Or now you have these expectations because this should have already happened by now. You got to count the costs in all things. And these expectations can destroy the whole relationship where you have to end it because you came with these unrealistic expectations that nobody can meet. I'm not going to come to you in this season of our life and says, I want these 3 cars next week. And they're going to be the Maybachs, they're going to be the Bentley SUV, and they're going to be the number one, whatever. I wouldn't do that if I am in a healthy relationship and I love you, to not to put that type of pressure on you and to try to get you to perform or do all kind of things to try to make it happen so you can keep your wife. That to me is insane.
Yeah, because we want to, what they used to call it, keeping up with the Joneses.
Yeah.
What they used to say.
Yeah, and today it's not even really anymore keeping up with it. It's now you're trying to keep up with the Joneses, the Howards, the Jacksons, all these people, because now you're exposed to so many more
world.
things
Yeah.
versus where you just saw your neighbors at one point.
Right.
And now you're competing with the world.
With the world.
Yeah, that's a lot.
And so that's a lot more expectations that can come in and be in your marriage. And so I'd say don't put unspoken expectations on your spouse, and don't even allow unrealistic expectations on yourself.
Because notice we said unspoken. That means you're sitting up meditating on something, thinking about something, responding in your actions towards someone because you have these unspoken things that you haven't even said. Maybe if you speak them, it can become a reality in your life. But when they're unspoken, nobody is dealing with it but you.
But you.
And you're having all of these battles going on because you have these unspoken expectations that you could have communicated that you didn't.
It's sad that I think most people do more meditating on things in their relationship that they shouldn't be meditating on than the things that we should be meditating on. Meditation is a powerful tool.
It is.
But we unknowingly use it for evil.
Yeah.
We use it
Against one another.
We sit up and meditate on the bad things
Yeah.
and the things we don't like and the things we wish were different. And you're creating the wrong type of thinking. And now you wonder why you're always so agitated and you wonder why every little thing bothers you or whatever because you're sitting up here meditating on all the wrong stuff. This old 80-20, rule or whatever.
I would tell people, stop lying when somebody say, what you been thinking about, and you say nothing. That is not true. Because even when you ain't thinking about something, your brain is thinking.
Yeah, they call them unconscious thoughts.
Yes.
That means there's thousands of thoughts that are going on that you're not even aware of.
Aware of, because you haven't trained yourself how to do that. And it's a way to do that. But most people haven't trained themselves to do that. And I spend years saying, oh, no, you don't get to think that. You don't get to do that. Because after going down that path with Caroline Leaf, it's like it made you aware of those things. And it's just like, no, you don't get to do that. Because if I do this all day, the day is over. And so we just got so much changing and work to do in these relationships that no one never trained you for.
Absolutely. Well, that's what we're here for.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Wonderful. So these are 5 silent killers that we just made them a little louder so that they won't be hiding and tiptoeing into your relationship. We can expose them, you can talk about them, and you can start feeding them with something healthy in your relationship. Again, don't forget to like, don't forget to subscribe, and don't forget to share.
Yeah.
What did you want to say? Anything
No,
else
it
you
was
wanna
the
say?
first thing that I gave you. I can't remember the statement that I gave you.
That you want to share to the people. I can look it up. We'll make sure that we don't want to leave no stone unturned on this episode.
But I gave it to you to be first.
So we got great marriages don't fall apart overnight. They fade through what's ignored. But anything you're willing to face can be rebuilt.
Yeah,
Is that it?
it's fine.
No. Was that the one you wanted to talk about?
Yeah.
What do you want to say about it? You want to say anything about it?
I just wanted to be something that
Okay,
was said.
so we're going to close this episode on that. Great marriages don't fall apart overnight. That's what we call the drift. They fade through what's ignored, through silent killers that no one wants to talk about in their marriage. But anything you're willing to face, courageous conversations, can be rebuilt.
Yeah. So hope is still alive.
Keep hope alive. Keep hope alive. All right, this has been another episode of the Next Level Marriage Podcast. Again, I am one half of your dynamic duo. I go by the name of Dr. James Byrd, and my lovely wife goes by the name of
Dr. Angel Byrd.
And together we are
The Lovebirds.
We'll see you next week.
Rock that never moves. This is how we learn what real love proves. Next Level Marriage Podcast. We're calling you to something deeper, something pure